Hello, everyone. Welcome back to X-Rays, where we take a look at industry evolution through the eyes of those creating change and innovation. I'll be your host, Rosalie, for this online show where we'll discuss and learn the latest, most exciting developments from industry leaders, pioneers, and innovators who are shaping the future. Today, we'll be speaking with Issac Quereshi. He is the CEO of Bowarr Management, a business advisory firm. Bowarr aims to support businesses by creating customized plans to increase their value worths, helping companies to buy, sell, or scale. Isaac is an experienced professional with over 25 years of experience in finance and business, having founded companies such as Falcon Co. and Ogilvy and Hart. So without further ado, let us welcome our guest. Isaac, how are you doing today?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Very well. Thank you so much for being on our show. So,
Oh, my pleasure. Apologies for the croaky voice.
no
Recovering from a
worries,
lost
no
illness.
worries. So I'd love if we could start by you giving us an overview of Bowarr and its key features or benefits.
Yeah, sure. So Bower is a specialist, I'd say, boutique mergers and acquisition firms. We help our clients essentially buy, sell, scale, and basically grow their business through very, very tailored solutions. We specialize working with certain firms who are looking for high growth more than anything else. So we do support startups, but predominantly our main specialists are very much within the high growth businesses, even though they might be early stage. And one of our core specialities, which obviously we'll talk about a bit more, is the ability to create what I call liquidity for companies. And that's through what a new venture through direct listings on the Nasdaq stock exchange out of the USA. It's something very, very new. It's part of the JOB Act from Obama's administration, and it's just become full in force 18 months ago. So it's very, very new to the market. It's very, very new to lots of people, but it's a great way for companies to not just get a listing onto Nasdaq, but gain more credibility, but more importantly, create real cash flow liquidity within their companies. It's something we're pushing forward with a number of clients this year.
Well, that sounds really exciting. It sounds like something that's very much developing and in progress currently as well at the moment, and important to the industry. So, could I ask you what inspired you to create Bowarr? Were there any specific problems or challenges that you wanted to address in your industry?
Absolutely no. I think everybody's aware of the mergers and acquisitions and buying and selling market. The big thing for me was being much more realistic to clients. Now, I'm not trying to say anything about other companies, but when people are looking to sell and to buy, you have these inflated valuations. They're one size fits all. You tend to find they're very biased in what they are. So what we want to do is bring a much more realistic approach to people looking to sell their companies, but equally people looking to buy companies more than anything else. By that I mean is that using different models and helping people understand the different buyers out in the world. You know, you can have an institutional buyer, you can have a corporate buyer, you have individual buyers, and each of those are very, very different in terms of their pros and cons, but also their appetite to purchase at the end of the day. By that I mean my background, I used to be one of the senior heads at Royal Bank of Scotland Group. I was responsible for buying and selling banks. So when people look at these valuations and say, "Oh, my company's worth 4, 5, 6 times EBITDA," which is fine. You know, that might appeal to a institutional purchaser, someone like a bank or an insurance company or a big organisation, because they're buying the entity for very, very different reasons. They'll be just buying it for cash flow, for just acquisition based on reducing their tax liability, because the more they spend, the less tax they pay. So they have a very, very different modus operandi for why they want to acquire a business. That same business to an individual will have very, very different valuation on the fact that for them it's their money, it's their pride and joy, they'll be running the business, and therefore they have a very different valuation. Whereas what we've saw in the market is the one size fits all. We try and advise clients on both sides. You've got to tailor your pitch to different people, have different valuations are based on different perspectives. And more importantly, be very, very open to what people understand, the buyer or the seller, your opposite side all the time. And that's why we created Bower, is to fill that little gap. And that's why we're very boutique and we're very selective about who we work with.
I can imagine, yeah. And it sounds like, you must have had a response from your target audience. I mean, it's something that really works closely with with companies and with people. So I'd love to know what the response was from your target audience regarding your services. Were there any notable success stories or feedback that you could share?
Oh, absolutely. No, I said, luckily today, touch wood, all our sales and acquisitions have gone through over the time. We've never not failed to buy or sell a business because we have a very much an entrepreneurial approach. And that's the key thing within the business where, every member of the team, not just myself, has a very, very entrepreneurial approach in terms of how to conclude a deal, get a deal done. Again, not trying to badmouth any other parties out there, but you tend to find a lot of professionals kill most of the deals, whether it's the lawyers, the accountants, CPAs, advisors, etc., etc. Our aim has always been, let's try and get a deal done for both parties. The seller wants to sell, the buyer wants to buy, or the buyer wants to buy and the seller wants to sell. There's always going to be a happy medium in between. So we have a number of success stories now. We've from getting valuations from 3 times EBITDA through to 8 times EBITDA. It all depends on the buyer and the seller. So over 2024, we completed 24 transactions in total. So again, we're very, very boutique. We're not volume based, but every single one of those transactions completed, which is great. As I now moving forward, we completed our first transaction as a direct listing onto Nasdaq. That was a huge success for us. It listed 12 months ago, and we moved the market cap from 300 million. It's now worth 1.1 billion on the market. So that's been our first successful direct listing of an organisation, and the client's super happy. They're looking to go into hyper growth mode now at the moment, and again we work very, very closely with our clients. We're very hand holding. So that's why we don't work with many clients.
Well, that sounds like what a success story that is as well. And it sounds like, that's a close relationship that you build up with the people that you work with. And, that must then in turn give you lots of feedback. Customer feedback is essential for any kind of improvement. So how does Bowarr gather and utilize feedback to enhance its user experience and refine its offerings?
Absolutely. It's all down to, we're only as good as our last deal, is what I say to people. We have to lead. And something my father taught me in every deal that we do, everybody's going to be left with a good taste in their mouth. So the buyer, the seller, the advisor, everybody needs to have that nice taste. No, you don't want anyone to feel bad about the whole deal. It might not be the deal they really wanted, but they understand they got the best value out of the deal. So we do lots of customer feedback on all parties with buyers, sellers, advisors. We do 360-degree feedback loops with every person. I speak to every person personally to understand what they liked and what they didn't like of the whole process. We do interviews with them. So we take the customer feedback and client feedback very, very serious, and that helps enhance the products. So it helps us learn some of the mistakes we made along the way, some of the issues we had, some of the hurdles we had to jump, so we can refine our process. A great one was a Nasdaq listing. We're very, very new to Nasdaq direct listings. We had our first client based out of Singapore. We successfully completed the whole transaction. It was technically a huge success, but we learned a lot along the way with the client. We learned how some things should be done better, how it could improve, and we implemented those into all our new current clients that we work with. So it's all about the 360 continuous feedback loop, and that's not just from my perspective, but the teams as well. So and the clients enjoy that. Which client doesn't enjoy telling the good and the bad about the whole situation? Everybody's got something to say, so we want to take that feedback, positive and negative, and try and enhance it and improve it as we go along, which has been tantamount to our success. I say that's one of our foundations. It's not just we do a good job, it's because we work with those clients, and a number of clients we have are repeat clients, so they're not bought one business or sold one business to us. We sold 2 or 3 of buying more and more businesses with them.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's really fantastic. That sounds like really a great way of integrating feedback and listening to your customers as well. That's good to hear. And looking ahead, what are Bowarr's plans for the future? Can you share any exciting developments or upcoming projects with us?
Our big thing for 2025 is direct listings on Nasdaq. We're working with many clients. We try to attract more and more clients. Direct listings are very new, but as I say, it allows companies to get great liquidity. Direct listing is very different from an IPO. It's a lot more cost effective. It allows you to fundraise very quickly, but more importantly, you can get a listing onto Nasdaq within 9 months. And that listing onto Nasdaq allows you to use the capital markets to raise the funds you need. So majority of our listings, we're able to list a company very quickly on opening day at $200 to $300 million. Day one, we create real value for an organization. It has a ticker price. All of a sudden, you're not arguing about valuations with third parties. No, the Nasdaq ticker tells you exactly how much the company is worth, based on market sentiment. We then use that liquidity event to work with institutional banks to allow the company to get what we call an ELOC, an equity line of credit. So based on the share price and the market cap, the company's able to get 20% equity line of credit. So when we list straight away for 300 million, that means that the company has access to $40–50 million on day one, which then obviously can use to go and buy competitors, increase the team, build a department, put more into R&D. It allows the company to really scale and grow rapidly. Whereas traditionally everybody uses equity as fundraising, i.e. you go to these investor events, try and get a family office, a private investor. You'll spend years and years and years talking to them, and essentially you're giving up your equity of your company in return for cash. But more importantly, you also become an employee for someone else. So when you think you're a founder, all of a sudden, when you've got big shareholders who invest in the company, all of a sudden you've got to answer those people. So direct listings for myself is something we're working on very aggressively in 2025. We've already got 4 or 5 companies lined up to list for the end of the year. My aim is to try and work with maybe 15 to 20 clients this year just on direct listings for Bowarr. We're also increasing Bowarr's footprint. Now we're obviously based in the UAE, but we're obviously going to grow more into the US market. We're already based in the UK, and we're going to expand a bit more into the Far East because we're getting lots of traction and attraction from companies in these areas about listing onto Nasdaq as much as anything else.
Mm-hmm. Well, that all sounds very exciting. Like there's a lot planned for in the future for Bowarr. So thank you so much for talking to us today, Isaac. It was really interesting to hear all about the work that you're doing and the ways that you're continuing to grow. So thank you so much.
No, my pleasure, and thank you for the time, and I'm happy to talk to you guys.
Absolutely. And to our listeners at X-Rays, thank you for tuning in. I'm your host, Rosalie, and I'll see you next time.